Hi boys and girls, today we're going to be weaving on a loom, and I wanted to show you that if you ever want to do this at home, you can actually make your own loom. Last year we used some heavy cardstock called railroad board and we made our own looms, so that's something you can always do if you like doing this. But we're going to be using these store-bought looms today, and I'm going to teach you some vocabulary as we go along. Okay, so the first thing you'll want to do is take a piece of tape and put it on your weaving loom, because we're gonna save these for every class to use. So just put your name and class code on the tape, not on the board, and we'll peel that off when we're all done using it. Okay, so once you have your name and class code on there, then we're going to do the warp. And the warp are these strings that are going up and down your board. Okay, we're going to warp onto the board. So I want you to find, I have lots of little containers that have yarn in them. You see how this one has rainbow yarn? We're not going to choose that for our warp. I want you to pick a solid color because the warp's going to get covered up. So this one's just a solid black. This would be a good choice for warp. Okay, it doesn't have to be black, but just pick a solid color. And you're going to tape that on the back here. I'm just going to hook it through this first one so you can see. You're going to tape it on the back like this to start, and then pull a little bit out here. Then you're going to go down the front side and loop around that first little loop and little notch, and then you're going to come to down to the other end and loop around the next little notch. Okay, and you're just going to keep doing that, going from one end to the other end, looping around, and it looks like this on the back. I'm just looping around the tip there, okay, and going down to the other end and looping around and looping around. And the last one, when you get into this last groove, you're going to flip it over to the back and you're going to cut that. And you want to keep this kind of tight, okay? I'm trying to keep this kind of tight. You don't want these strings to be super loose. You want it to be kind of tight, otherwise it'll be hard to weave on, okay? So I'm holding that tight. Actually, it might have been smarter to get my tape ready to go, before, so I'm going to pull it tight again, before I got to that point. So maybe get a piece of tape ready, because you're going to want a piece of tape here and a piece of tape here, holding your warp onto your loom, okay? This cardboard thing is the loom, and the warp string is the strings that go up and down. And now we're going to begin weaving with a weft string. So the weft is the string or yarn that you weave across, okay? So you can see this one is this rainbow colored one is the weft for this loom, okay? So I have found that the easiest way to do this is to pull out a length of yarn. So I'm just going to pull out about that much yarn. And ooh, okay, I almost did this wrong. We don't want to cut it really close to the opening here, otherwise it'll get stuck in there. So leave maybe about 3 or 4 inches here and cut it out here so that it's real easy to get started and it doesn't end up stuck back in there, okay? All right. Now, it doesn't matter which end you start with, but I'm going to make a needle on one end of my string. So all that is, one of these is going to be the end and one's going to be the starting part. What it is you're going to take a piece of tape. This worked so good for me that I want to show you this trick. Okay, and I'm going to lay it on, just like lay it right on the edge. You can kind of see that through, as close to the edge as I can of my yarn. So put your yarn right along the edge there. And then you're going to roll it up in there. Okay, so just kind of fold it over and roll and roll and roll. And what this will do is it makes a really nice, almost like a little sewing needle to go in and out for weaving. Okay, it makes your weaving a lot easier. Okay, so to start with, I'm just going to start, it doesn't really matter which end, I'm going to start on this end. I'm going to start with over, under. You could start under, over, but I'm going to start with over, under. So I'm going to go over the first one and then go underneath the second one, over the third one, under the fourth one, over and under, and then I'm going to end up going over. I'm going to pull it all the way through until I just have a little tail sticking out this side, okay? So here I am. I don't want to pull it too far. I want to leave a little tail over here. Then push it way up to the top, leaving a little tail sticking out. If this tail bothers you, you could just tape it onto the back, okay? Because that's your first one, and you could tape the first one on the back. I might just do that just to get it out of sight. Okay, so there I am. Now, I've got all of my weft on the left side. I'm ready to go back across to the right side. So when I ended up, my string, my weft, was over the warp. Do you see how this one's on top of the warp? So it's over the warp, it's on top. I want to make sure I go under the warp when I go back the other way. I want to do the opposite. So I'm going to go under, over, under, over, under, over, under, going back, okay? And then when you're pulling this through, I want you to really be careful that you don't pull it too tight. So as this starts to get closer, I'm going to put my finger right here and hold on to this because I don't want it to get too tight. Let me show you what happens if you pull this too tight. I'm actually backing it up a little bit. I might have even done that. If you pull it too tight, here's what will happen to yours. It'll start to get skinnier and skinnier and skinnier because this person has just been pulling it way too tight, okay? We want to keep it kind of loose so that it makes a nice, wide, even weaving, okay? In the end, what happens here, I'm going to show you some examples. If you do it correctly, it should be the same width all the way down, okay? If you are one of those people that's kind of pulling too hard as you go, yours is going to get skinnier in the center, okay? Which isn't the end of the world, but it's not actually what we want to do, okay? These, when you get finished, you can use these for like a bookmark. You can wear it like as an armband. They make kind of cool armbands. You could do that. But it's going to take us a little bit of time, so we want to get started right away and get weaving, okay? Once you're back on the opposite side, make sure everything's over here and you don't have any, somebody actually had some loops in the back here. Be careful that you don't actually get hooked on this. Make sure you're going straight through, okay? And then pushing it way up, and then I'm ready to go back the other way. So when I go back, you can see that my last thread, I'm going to move it up close. Do you see how this one was under when I ended? That means I want to go over that first string and under. So I'm going to do over, under, over, under, over, under, and pull it through. Now, do I want to pull it really hard, or do I want to take my time as I go? Yep, take your time, because when you get right about here, I'll put my finger on there so I don't pull too tight. Yeah, I want to keep that from being too tight, and then push it way up in there, okay? Now back the other way. Which way am I going to go? I hope you said under, over, under, because this last one was over to start with, right? Or to end with. So I want to do the opposite. Okay. And when you get to a point where you don't have any of this first string, ooh, I got to slow down there. When you don't have any of this first string left, I want to show you how you switch to another color. I'm going to set this one aside. You can see that this one, the string is done. I'm out of string. You're going to just leave a little tail sticking out. Select a new color. Make your needle on that new color, and I've already done that just to save some time here. And then start weaving again. Now this one came out under. I can see that this is under, so I'm going to start over, under, over, under, over, under, and pull it through. Do it this way. Pull it through, but leave a little tail sticking out. What we'll do with those little tails, in the end, we'll be able to snip those off, but you want to make sure this is really good and tight when you push it up, okay? That's how we can end up snipping those off and it won't unravel, okay? So you're just going to leave a little tail, about yay long, sticking out. Ignore it until the very end, and when we take this off of the loom, Mrs. Walker will show you what to do with those, okay? So I'm over, I'm going to go under, over, under, over, under, over, under, and pull through. All right. Hopefully this is enough information to get you guys started. If you have any problems, first. Check to see if there's anyone at your table, because some of you are going to already be good at this. You've either had practice before or it just like clicks with you. First, check with the people at your table and see if they can help you, because I'm just one person and it's hard for me to get around to everybody. But then raise your hand if you're stuck, and I will come around and help get you going on this, okay? When we're all finished today, what I'd like you to do with your board, is you're going to take a piece of paper, write your name and class code on a little slip of paper that Mrs. Walker will give you, and we're going to put everything in a Ziploc bag with our name tucked down in there. Put your board in there, put any extra yarn that you're using down in there. It shouldn't fit completely, right? It's going to be sticking out the top. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about even zipping it shut. I mean, you can zip it a little bit, but don't worry about that. We're just going to set these in your class tub, and then next week when we get them out, everything should be in here that you need, okay? If you have little pieces of yarn, we did run into this. Some kids in the last class had some little pieces of yarn left that they didn't need. Don't throw those away unless they're really short. If it's a piece like this that someone else could use, I want you to wrap it around your fingers. Just wrap, 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 wrap like this. And when you get kind of close to the end, slide it off. And then wrap that around the piece of yarn. So that kind of ties it, not really into a bow, but kind of into a little organized thing for the next person, okay? This person didn't really follow directions, did they? So the direction was to do what? To take it and wrap it around your fingers until you almost run out of yarn. So I'm just going around and around and around and around. It doesn't take very long, actually, just a few seconds to do this. And then slide it off of your fingers when you have just a little bit left, and take that little bit and wrap it tightly around the middle of that. Makes a little kind of a bow thing, okay? And I'll have a basket for these. So if you see a color that you want to use in here, just help yourself and weave it into yours. Because these are up for grabs for anybody that wants to use them, okay? But, oh, this one's probably too short, right? I mean, that one could barely go back and forth 1 or 2 times, so I probably wouldn't keep that one. That one probably go in the garbage can. And this one looks like something happened to the yarn. I don't know what happened. It looks kind of damaged. Oh, nope, it's okay. So this one would be enough that you could save, okay? So that's what to do with the extras, and this is what to do with your loom. Have fun weaving.